Here's a gory little story about some movie stuff. We're gonna focus in on the words it's tough. There's only a single camera in film, you know, and if it's more than that, it's probably video. And video, it seemed to be real funny. At 30 frames a second, think it costs more money. What you're about to hear, you can tell your mama. There's 24 frames in the film, that's drama. Now I hope that's clear and you're on your toes, cause we're about to get into aspect ratios. Now if you're making it into the Academy, son, you gotta do 1-3, 3-1. But if you want your movie to really be seen, 185-1 is a US widescreen. And the European market is of course no fun. They shoot 6-1. Let's move on now, cause I'm numbered out and we got a lot of stuff to talk about, but we're going too fast, gonna slow it down, gonna try to get a grip on the movie's sound. Sound in the movie is like playing cards. You play it wrong and you'll be hard. Broke that ears and shatter on the ground, which brings us to the double system sound. A double system sound is like playing aces. Your camera and recorder is in separate places, so before you make a movie, gotta understand sound's as important as your leading man. If there ain't no sound, he look real silly, be lip syncing words like Milli Vanilli. I ain't finished just yet with the whole sound bit, but just for a second I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna talk about motion picture cameras. They're really important to the movie, cause if you shoot it right, it looks smooth as butter, but you better be sure to check your shutter. 180-degree shutter ain't a real hot sign, it just means the shutter's open half and close half time. And intermittent movement stops and starts. Things get moving like motor parts, and reflex viewing system is the new rage. You look directly through the lens at the actors on stage. If you don't look through the lens like a telescope, non-reflex viewing is your only hope. Now undercranking means motion's going real quick, like Charlie Chaplin twirling around his walking stick. And when you're overcranked, that means your motion's slow, the way the picture looked on that Bionic show. In a velometer, long word perhaps, shoot a frame at a time to show time lapse. And when you're changing bags, you ain't a brand new groom, it just means you're loading film without a dark room. So stay with me fellas, gotta be on track. At the start of the show, you fade in from black. And when you wanna go between two images, simply dissolve, just like your mouth does Pez. And when the movie ends and you've sold your soul, fade out to black before the credits roll. The next words help the camera muffle sound, which means it helps keep the loud noise down. Bonnie is big, fluffy and soft. Blimp is hard like Ann Bancroft. Just joking now, if you're a Bancroft fan, just saying this stuff to help you understand. And if you learn this stuff, you should go real far. Ask my good friend, Miss Roseanne Barr. So I'm driving down the road in my Mercedes Benz. A guy's taking pictures without a lens. Now the lens is a thing that gets broke on cops when the cameraman falls down at traffic stops. You hear the man scream, you hear him yell. He's probably not thinking about the f-stop scale. If he is thinking about it while he's chasing Hicks, he's thinking 1, 4, 2, 2, 8, 4, 5, 6, and 8, 11, 16, 22. Don't holler as the number gets bigger. The hole gets smaller. Now you know if they do a motion picture cops, you will have the numbers for all the f-stops. If you didn't catch all that, your fate is sealed, cause we're moving on to the depth of field. Now I ain't talking about crops and locusts. The smaller the f-stop is, the more in focus your field's gonna be, so that you can fig if it's a babe it's talking or a talking pig. Now moving right along, don't get confused, cause we're gonna go to colors and different hues. The color in the film starts with 3 of these: red, green, and blue, called primaries. Negative film, or should I just say neg, means Cindy Crawford could look a lot like Peg. Bundy that is, if you look just right, hold the negative up to a real bright light, which means the opposite is true if you talk about Kim. Basinger looks right on reversal film. A positive image, what you're gonna get, which is just what she looks like on the movie set. Pushing a film means the process is forced, like you have to do when you train a horse. And perhaps it makes the film a little bright, but at least you won't have a stud to fight. And pulling a film can darken it, maybe it's underdeveloped like a premature baby. An exposure index, or you can say EI, is the film sensitivity to speed and light. Other abbreviations for this thing you know are ASA, DIN, and ISO. Tungsten balance film, right for indoor light, is 3200K for household light. Daylight balance film for the great outdoors is 5600 right for cooking s'mores. Now tungsten ain't a place where tongues are made. It's for lights in the house beneath the lampshade. And 3200 seems like a swarm, but it's what you need to keep your light source warm. If it really don't matter, just have some fun. Walk outside and use the sun. It's a cold light source on the movie screen, but it could be one way to save some green. Now if you're outside to make tungsten right, use CTB to make daylight. And to get from daylight back to tongue, you'll need CTO on your window hung. From fluorescent to tungsten sounds really mean. Just remember, use magenta or minus green. So that'll about do it for chapter 4. I hope I didn't make your head too sore with the colors, the tungsten, and all that light. If you can pick this up, you're gonna be alright. And the movie biz needs folks like you who know the magentas from the orange and blues. So take a deep breath, gonna take a stroll, about to learn light meter and exposure control. Incident light meter first in line. Now to get it right, you better use your mind. You hold that sucker in the actor's face. Make sure that dude don't lose his place. If the actor is a pain, he's to be respected. You could use a light meter called reflected. Hold that meter up to the camera, see? And you've just set your actor free so that he can act, not be shy, work up a tear and attempt to cry. And it's all because you use the right meter. But who gets the credit? Mr. Fonda Peter. A great card is something you're gonna need to get into the country that sets you free. Oops, sorry about that, no, that ain't right. A great card is used with reflected light, and 18% seems very low. Use more than that and you can ruin your show. So do what I say and you will learn, and when your movie is done, you won't get burned. Exposure control simply doesn't mean don't run naked across the movie screen. There's 4 ways to control exposure, son. Film speed or ASA is number 1. Aperture and f-stop is number 2. Am I going too fast or slow for you? Ambient light and shutter speed are other ways for exposure control on shooting days. Now we leave this mess for a little fun. Gonna find out who is number 1 on the set of a movie you're gonna make. Director and producer top billing take. Director of photography DP for short. When it comes to movies, best know his sport. Cause he's the one creating the look of film. He positions the lights both bright and dim. His talent is required by directors, see, even Spielberg and Hitchcock and Cecil B. From costume to make it to sets and props. For the film to look good, his word is tops. And your camera operator is pretty smooth. He's the one that makes the camera move. And first assistant pulls focus all the time. He's gotta be on his toes, gotta know the lines. Second AC loads the film to shoot the baldwin boy and his wife Kim. The gaffer is the boy you knew in school. He was never real popular or even cool, but he knew about lights and electric stuff, which means the best boys got it really rough. As the gaffer's assistant on the film, all that pent up anger comes out on him. Sound mixers, guess what? Mix the sound. They run dat and Niagara, try not to drown out the actors that are on the set. They stay as far away as they can get. And there's some more people scattered here and there, be fixing clothes and shaping hair. But you can learn about that a different day. This rap's going in another way. MOS means without a sound, which means it hurts less when you fall down. Or if someone says moss, it probably don't mean more. Just go ahead and walk across the squeaky floor. Standard shot progression fits in the song. There's close-up, medium, and then there's long. Now there are certain rules that one can break and no effect on your movie make. If you break this one, you a real big fool. It ain't smart to break the 180-degree rule. Now that's the rule that has the line. And if you cross it, then you will find you'll be out of work, be smelling strange, cause you decide to make direction change. A cutaway ain't something happens to your spleen. It's a shot away from action on the screen. And inserts ain't a real big pain. It's a shot that's right inside the main. And shooting ratio ain't a drive-by trend. It's how much got shot in the end. I said I wasn't finished with the movie sound. I'm sure by now your feet are firmly on the ground. So we'll talk about recorder and microphone and the places you can hide them, just a Sharon Stone. Now dB or decibels, let's make this clear, is just how loud the movie sounds in your ear. And it was named after Alexander Graham Bell, whose wife made him deaf cause she loved to yell. Use a Niagara sound recorder, show that you got skill, and you can watch the tape go from reel to reel. Now a DAT is a digital audio tape. Use it right and you'll escape, cause both of these in film are most commonly used, like your favorite hat or your pair of shoes. And the VU meter on production sets shows you just how loud the volume gets. Hypercardioids ain't crazy boys. It's a real directive mic using lots of noise so that you can hear the boy across the road say hi. Even though a bus may be driving by, proximity affects you too close to the mic. There's too much bass unless you're spiked. And you're trying to make a joint like Mr. Lee. Back away from the mic and you'll agree. Acoustics that are live are like in the shower and the Animaniacs inside the tower. If you're on the sound stage, sound should be dead so you don't get echo off what's been said. And chapter 9 is lighting, not too hard to wrangle. Gonna learn the 3 points of a lighting triangle. There's key light and fill light and backlight too, so the actor on the set don't look like Rod Carew. Tungsten halogen bulbs is what you see. Gets used in motion picture and on TV. 3200 degrees, Kevin, yeah that's right. But remember it's only tungsten halogen light. HMI lights replace carbon arts. It looks daylight so you can see the sharks coming right at you, cause there ain't no sound like the ears in Jaws right before you drown. Spotlights you can focus with different lenses like they practice sometimes on picket fences. On the Fresnel light, the S is silent. Was a French lighthouse keeper who wasn't violent. And floodlights, they ain't got no lens. It ain't focusable and it shows all your sins. And we'll talk about light and contrast ratio. 21314 and get ready, set, go to determine amps. Learn what's in the quotes.
Amps equals watts divided by volts.
So it's easy enough to determine what's right. You learned your sound and you learned your light. So we'll go to the lab during production. Gonna rap a little bit, gonna have some fun. Gonna talk about work print, which is the first leg. It's a copy of the film from original neg. By the time you get to edge numbers, you'll be stressed. You can only see them once film's been processed. And montage theory is very sane, using Battleship Potemkin and Citizen Kane. We're talking about editing, come with us. If you wanna learn to edit, get on the bus. 3 types of equipment that has been said. Upright moviola and then flatbed. Non-linear editing is fairly tough. Involves computers and hard drives and different stuff. So when you edit a picture, just remember these things. If it helps you out, you gotta learn to sing. This song will help. It'll give a clue and you will know what you should do. Now sound editing is a different gig. You can make a fallen tree, a snapping twig, and a Kodak key code is a trademark name. It barcodes every foot of film to locate frames. And sweetening is post-production scent. It's anything that has sound enhancement, like Rocket punching out Mr. T, or some Chinese guy that got kicked by Bruce Lee. M&E tracks kept separate from dialogue, so they can be shipped to Crete, Russia, and Prague, and the whole world can be a movie fan. And we'll get to know more actors like Jackie Chan. We're moving right along to chapter 13. Prepare the film for print and titling. The negative cutter is heaven sent. He cuts original neg to go with the work print. A and B rolls and checkerboard parent team. Make sure you can't see splashes on the screen. Now there's a special way to see things not there, like spaceships flying around in the air. One way, of course, this can be seen is to use a blue or a green screen. A mat is about enough to make you cry, like Elliot and E.T. riding across the sky. And every second draw 24 frames. A style used by Mr. Cameron James. No, James Cameron is what I mean. On the Titanic, you know the scene. And color neg methods you're gonna try. There's inner neg, inner pause, and CRI. These make copies of the movie so you can send them to AMC, so your film can be seen by 1 million or more, and top execs will knock at your door. Hey, shut up, fool. This is my rap thing. We're moving on to chapter 16. We'll be finished with this rap after these 2 things. Above the line, this is a fact. It's money for directors and those that act. The writer gets in above the line to the producer, but not the technical crew. Below the line is money, behind the scene, like equipment, stuff, and catering. And the technical crew is in this list. If they went on strike, they'd be sorely missed, cause a film can't be shot without a crew. You need everyone to pull it through. And speaking of through, that's what we are. So listen to this rap inside your car. Listen to it morning, noon, and night. And when you learned it, you can make a movie right. It started with a rap in Miss Varna's class. You had to learn it so you could pass. And you learned your stuff, that's what's important. You can be as rich as Michael Jordan. So watch out, Spielberg and Katzenberg too. This town ain't never seen the likes of you. And you owe it all to the rapping test key that you picked up at LACC.